At the age of 28, 8 months pregnant, I experienced a profound personal tragedy. Aiden, the father of my unborn child, was killed in a car accident. This event left an indelible mark on my soul and the lives of his family. Although we had never met until that moment, a deep friendship developed between us. Since our son Brady was born, Aiden's family has played an active role in his life, embracing us both with warmth and care at every turn. When Brady was still a toddler, I started dating Justin, who was 31 years old at the time. It was 6 months before he met Brady for the first time, and their relationship quickly became warm and trusting. After getting to know Aiden's family, Justin immediately won their favor. I always emphasize the importance of keeping Aiden's family a part of our lives for Brady's well-being, and Justin fully shared that opinion. 2 years after we were married, Brady started calling Justin Daddy on his own, although he continued to remember Aiden, also calling him Daddy. We always kept pictures of Aiden in our house, and Brady was proud to say he had 2 dads. Our relationship with Michelle and Dan, Aiden's parents, remained warm until we decided to officially adopt Brady. When they disagreed, I tried to explain that we would never interfere with Brady's relationship with them and would always remember Aiden with love and respect. However, the situation escalated when Michelle and Dan went to court in an attempt to stop the adoption. They argued that Justin wasn't fit to be a father, despite his stable job and loving relationship with Brady. They also speculated about Justin's motives related to the Brady Trust Fund, against the backdrop of the circumstances of Aiden's death. I took legal action against the driver whose negligence caused me to become a widow, seeking damages. All the proceeds were invested in a trust for Brady, which he will only be able to use when he reaches the age of 25. Aiden's sister, acting as trustee of the trust, was unlikely to ever agree to transfer the funds to Justin, although he had no interest in them with his own finances. At trial, the judge dismissed the allegations against Justin based on unproven assumptions. Opponents tried to discredit him by using various insults, although they had previously expressed support and approval for him. Aiden's sister's testimony in court was later recognized by her sister as part of a strategy to prevent the adoption, something they never actually supported. The case was eventually won, and the adoption took place, although the process dragged on due to legal wrangling, adding to the legal costs. After all the trials, Dan and Michelle accepted the outcome, but I decided not to leave them alone with Brady for fear of possible new attempts to undermine the relationship with Justin. Justin remains correct in his interactions with them while protecting our family from repeated emotional trauma. His limited friendliness reflects caution after his ordeal. Despite apologies from Dan and Michelle, Justin and I believe they must realize the consequences of their actions and accept them. Aunt Brady assures Justin and me that we are right, causing me to doubt and feel the tension felt by everyone around us. Sometimes I blame myself for being too direct with my former mother-in-law, pointing out the impossibility of maintaining the same relationship with my husband. Despite this, I never resorted to threatening to cut ties, believing in the sincerity of their change. They expressed the realization that while Aiden will forever be Brady's father, the boy deserves someone alive to fulfill the role of father in his life. Realizing that Brady aspires to share a common last name with me, his dad, and his sister seems to me to be a sign of their true change, though I question the completeness of their transformation. It is not easy to comprehend how much we have been affected by the lawsuit. It strikes me that even more effort is required of them in regards to Justin, given our willingness to maintain this relationship at all. If someone had told me about the possibility of rebuilding lost trust after all that has happened, I would have thought it was a joke, because it seems incredible that trust, once lost, can be regained. No, it's not your fault that some bridges destroyed by circumstances remain forever insurmountable. Really, you can't put people through the ordeal of the court system for more than a year and then expect to get back on track. Life doesn't work that way. It should be recognized that relationships change irrevocably after the ordeal. After all, if steps were once taken that led to a breakup, it is like ringing a bell whose sound cannot be undone. After false statements have been uttered in court as a strategy to win, it becomes clear that for some, there is no limit to what is acceptable. This entailed the removal of their daughter from them, leading to a loss of trust. The idea that an apology can magically restore lost trust seems absurd. Next story. I am 27 years old and a woman facing a difficult choice. I have been dating a young man for the past few months, and we decided to have a date at an exquisite upscale restaurant. I had originally planned to wear my favorite dark blue dress, even though it had lost its original look. However, my companion asked me to choose another outfit, a white dress that I had once shown him, arguing that it matched his clothes better. This was something new to me, for no one had ever made such a request before. The white dress in question was a treasured gift from my late grandmother. Being cautious, I agreed to his request in spite of my inner resistance. I only asked that after dinner we not visit any places where I might accidentally stain or damage the dress in any way, especially given his suggestion to hit the clubs. We agreed that I could change after dinner before we decided what to do next. However, the evening took an unexpected turn. My date accidentally spilled his red wine on me. It happened as he was getting a phone call, and in an attempt to quickly silence the call, he elbowed the glass. The wine spilled right into my lap, and before I could react, my dress was already stained and wet. He apologized, and I tried to keep my composure, though I was devastated inside, especially after insisting on treating the dress with care. Later, I reminded him of the value of the dress and asked if he would be willing to contribute to the $100 professional cleaning and stain removal fee. I suggested that he pay half of that amount. To my surprise, his response was defensive. He argued that what had happened was an accident and that my expectations of his contribution to the cost of cleaning the dress were unreasonable. According to him, it was my own responsibility to wear such a dress, anticipating the possible risks. He insisted that it was a matter of principle. Yes, what happened was an accident, however, the dress was ruined. The item had not only material but also deep sentimental value to me. He expressed the opinion that I was being materialistic by exaggerating the significance of the accident. I now find myself confused about his reaction and wonder if it was reasonable to expect him to be willing to cover the cost of restoring the dress. You are not to blame for what happened, and your expectations were reasonable. He should have offered to cover the cost of the cleaning himself. Yes, an unfortunate event happened, but that doesn't absolve him of responsibility. His refusal to take on even a portion of the costs speaks volumes about his character and how easily he shifts blame to others, ignoring his role in what happened. This is a prime example of manipulation. The fact that this relationship has taken a toll on you, particularly the ruined dress, is sad, but it's the lesser of evils. Ultimately, it's more important to value yourself and your life without someone who doesn't show proper respect and care. Hopefully, the cleaning experts can restore the dress. Giving up on this relationship and paying for the dress restoration yourself is choosing the path to happiness. Even though this relationship may have cost you $100, it's the price of a lesson worth remembering. The logic that a man believes that chance exempts him from the consequences of his actions is unacceptable. Even more unacceptable is his blaming you, given that he himself asked you to wear that dress. If the situation were about his own mistakes, like if he accidentally damaged his car or something at work, there would still be consequences. His actions carry consequences. That's what's important to understand. The fact that he's not willing to cover even half of the costs speaks volumes. If I'd really like a man, I wouldn't let little things like that ruin our relationship. It's time to give up on a man who doesn't value you enough to support you in a situation like this. Now I want to tell a different story. In my 19 years, I am invariably reminded of my late maternal grandmother. Her passing left an indelible mark on the hearts of the family, especially my grandfather and eldest daughter. My mother, then a child, found her breathless body, which forever imprinted this tragedy on her memory. I learned of my resemblance to my grandmother at the age of 6, thanks to my aunt, who enthusiastically showed me pictures, emphasizing every slightest resemblance. My mother always surrounded me with love, but a look of hidden sadness sometimes betrayed her inner turmoil. My childhood curiosity once led me to overhear a conversation between relatives about the difficulties of seeing my grandmother's features in me. My aunt, in an effort to cause my mother pain, had convinced me to dye my hair blonde in my 12th year, despite my desire for pink hair. This act was only realized by me as an attempt to hurt my mother after I saw her reaction to my new hairstyle. My aunt also bought me clothes reminiscent of my grandmother's style based on her extensive collection of photographs. She even gave me a nickname that my grandmother had once called me as a little girl, and I, unaware of her true motives, happily accepted it. My mother had a deep disgust for the nickname my aunt had given me. One evening I heard her share these feelings with my dad. My mom valued her relationship with my aunt very much, considering it a close one, so realizing my aunt's actions came as a shock to me. I decided to stop trusting her, especially after she attempted another malicious act. By complaining to my father, I succeeded in getting my aunt warned to leave me alone. For many years we didn't see her because of global events, but on my grandfather's birthday, which fell on New Year's Eve, my aunt tried to manipulate me again, suggesting that I change my hair and style of dress. I openly expressed to her that I was aware of her intentions, to which she only scoffed, thinking it might hurt my mom. My reaction was immediate. I loudly announced her past and current actions to everyone present, which resulted in my father and other guests forcing my aunt to leave. Before she left, however, she blamed me for ruining the evening in public humiliation, calling me a witch and an idiot. You are not what your aunt tries to see in you, having only inherited your looks from your grandmother, while your aunt seems to have adopted her unique behavior. Let her know that you acted as she wished, giving her the opportunity to experience your grandmother's presence. If this has caused public humiliation for her malicious actions, it may be time for her to reflect on her own behavior or seek professional help to get to the bottom of her resentment toward your mother. Ignoring her actions may prove to be the best strategy, as the lack of attention may prove more annoying to her than any response. Your aunt, acting out of a desire to hurt, especially your mom, is showing clear signs of destructive behavior. Your outrage at her actions is understandable, but it is worth considering the consequences of your anger. It is important to consider how your actions have affected your mom, whether they have exacerbated her feelings of guilt or, conversely, brought relief. Considering restricting all communication with your aunt, including removing her from social media and blocking her, can be an effective step. Limiting contact with her family can also help avoid further conflict and negative impact on your family. My next story. I'm 24 years old and I'm a man. My girlfriend, Jess, is a year younger than me. We have been together for almost 4 years. We are both currently enrolled in college. For the past 6 months, our communication has been long distance due to my participation in an exchange program 2 semesters abroad. Before starting our relationship, Jess and I were in high school. During that time period, I had a good friend named Mike who also showed interest in Jess. She reciprocated, and they had a brief affair that I didn't know existed and wasn't interested in. This fact has not affected our friendship with Mike in any way. We continue to maintain a close relationship. Recently, another mutual acquaintance of ours threw a New Year's Eve party. Both Mike and Jess attended the event. During a FaceTime conversation with Jess the next day, she casually mentioned, in the context of another story, that she had sat next to Mike on the couch with her feet on his thigh. When she told me about this, I reacted instantly and perhaps too emotionally expressed my displeasure to her, finding this behavior unacceptable and offensive. Jess became upset, cried and stated that she did not understand why this should cause me concern. She also expressed her annoyance and refused to communicate further. A few days after our conversation, we both seemed to be doing our best to ignore the conflict that had occurred. However, I am plagued by doubts about my reaction. I wonder if I was unreasonably irritable or if my actions were due to a lack of understanding of social norms. In my perception, sitting in this way without prior consent is a rather intimate gesture, which makes me even more uneasy, especially considering that this is a person with whom Jess has had a previous relationship. I usually trust her completely and have never before had any doubts about her actions when she is away from me. However, now I was having doubts. I had never tried to restrict her freedom or tell her where to go. To accuse someone of stupidity for expressing discomfort with their partner putting their feet on another person's thigh seems inappropriate. Perhaps you should discuss your feelings about your partner's past relationships more openly before it leads to any misunderstandings, especially if you both still have a friendly relationship with this person. There is no need to apologize because calling someone an idiot for their natural feelings and reactions seems unfair. The fact that someone thinks it's okay to place their feet on another person while still being in a relationship can be surprising. Even if you are friends with this person, this behavior may seem odd. Let's imagine if the roles were reversed and someone told a story about your partner's ex putting his or her legs around him or her. Public opinion would probably be on your side, confirming that your reaction doesn't make you an idiot and raising questions about boundaries in relationships. A story that really surprised me. I have friends in my circle who favor gourmet dishes. I myself do not mind paying attention to the more affordable items on the menu. The main difficulty arises when the total bill is to be divided. I have repeatedly spoken in favor of each person paying only for his or her own order. These moments inevitably turn into discussions where compromises have to be made to avoid displeasing my friends. At the same time, my financial situation is better compared to my friends, which causes misunderstandings and leads to me being accused of being greedy. My arguments about wanting to pay exclusively for my order go unheeded. One night, when we decided to have dinner together, my friends placed orders for about $30 each, while I opted for a $12 salad. In the face of an impending bill split, I decided to order a few more dishes to take with me, thereby increasing my order amount to $30. My decision caused bewilderment among my friends, especially when they realized that they would now have to increase their share of the bill. This led to a new wave of discussions in which they expressed their displeasure with my action. You are not acting unreasonably in seeking to pay exclusively for your order at a restaurant, given how clearly you state this from the outset. Even if it makes your friends unhappy, it's worth asking why exactly they are upset, because after all, everyone pays for themselves. Your position is clear to them and remains unchanged. Perhaps it's time to look for new friends who will respect your choices. If you decide to reconnect with this group of friends, that is your right. Wanting to pay for only what you ordered is perfectly normal. You don't have to order extra food for yourself, knowing that your friends will ask to split the bill again, and it will lead to another uncomfortable discussion. Calling you unreasonable for not wanting to obey so-called group rules when going to a restaurant is unfair. It's not a matter of financial ability, it's a matter of principle. You are standing your ground, and that is fair enough. If this approach causes conflict, it may be better to avoid going out to a restaurant altogether and prefer to eat at home.